That's a long time to be tired, and that's my biggest thing where I've even told myself, Brittney, stop complaining if you don't have a solution.
Hello, all those beautiful faces. How we doing? Stephanie checking in with another episode of Class Disruption. And today we're talking with an educator from Georgia, a fellow history teacher of mine, Brittney Caldwell. But before we get into it, you know what I need you to do, all that good YouTube stuff. Smash that like button. If you're new here, I love that beautiful face. Hit that subscribe button and that bell so you can get notified every time I drop a video. And as you can see, I have a different background going on here. I'm down at Frequency Labs with my boy Jalil. I just posted a picture last week on my Instagram with him. We're getting together a new show that's gonna premiere very soon on this channel. We're thinking of calling it Class Dismissed. It's between me, an educator, him, a non-educator, to really expand out that conversation and get more perspectives, because that is what it's all about. So like I said, make sure you're subscribed so you can get notified every time we drop content. We've got so much more cool stuff coming soon. And let me know, what else do you want to hear? And maybe you want to have a conversation with me. So let me know in those comments down below. Let us know where you're checking in from and what you want to see. And of course, share this video. That is how we are going to spread the disruption to a district near you. All right, well, let's get into this conversation because it is a good one. Like I said, Brittney Caldwell is a fellow history teacher. So it's really cool because we both know the topic really well. We both have our opinions. We agree in some places and then we push our thinking in other places. So that's just so much fun to really be getting to that nitty gritty with a teacher. And she's a big advocate. She's out here pushing for the kids. I'm pushing for the kids. And I just feel like, we kind of kindred teachers souls. And at the end we talk about, hey, maybe future plans that we open up our school or do something to really break outside the system, because that's what Class Disruption is all about. And matter of fact, right now Brittney is out in Ghana and she's doing a lot of volunteer work to help build and put together a school there. You can check all of that out on her social media, which just in general, she has dope content, always bringing the inspiration, always bringing those good questions, always giving us the inside look into what she's doing. And right now she's pushing out a bunch of content from what it's like to go to school over in Ghana. We sit here, we complain about funding, about this and that, but it totally puts things in perspective when you see what the kids are doing there and how much they do with so little. So check that out and get ready for an amazing conversation. Without any further ado, let's see Brittney. Brittney, it's been a long time in the making. It is so good to see your beautiful face.
Good to be here.
Yeah. So, I know somewhat about you from seeing you on Instagram and all your beautiful pictures. I'm like, dang, I need to up my production quality here. So, but tell the people, who are you? Where are you from? What do you do? And what are you all about?
Well, I am a United States history teacher / AP United States history teacher from Atlanta, Georgia. I live in Atlanta right now, but I'm from DC technically. So I'm going into like my 4th year and I'm just talking. I'm just talking, speaking my mind online.
Finding your groove. Right. I feel like, so this is my 5th year. So, I felt like really last year 4, like at the beginning of the year, I remember I kept being like, yo, I'm in a pocket right now. I feel like I'm Brady. Like I got some wait time here. Like, I know I hear people saying like, oh, we're all 1st year teachers, but I'm like, I don't know. Like, I know my content,
Yeah, I'm starting to feel like, is it too early to feel like a vet? I'm starting to feel that vet vibe coming, I feel like the train is going, year 4, going in confident. Like I used to be shaking in my boots at the beginning of the school year, Now I'm like, man.
Sunday night, like, oh my God, I need to have all my stuff together. Now I'm like, Monday morning, like you walk in like, all right, what we doing this week? Okay, boom, 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 got it. So I really do feel like, because I know my content so well, I can really go all in this online environment and be figuring that out. I can't only imagine for those 1st year teachers trying to do it all though. So, we've been always going back and forth on posts on social media.
I've been following you for a long time. You were like one of the first teachers, who I actually followed.
Okay, I feel honored.
No, I feel like since I've had my classroom page, I followed you.
Yeah, and like since I always pay the most attention, I think, to social studies teacher. I'm a little biased in that way. So as soon as like we started whatever connecting, like you are always popping up at the top of my timeline. So and those other people out there should be jealous. But one of the topics we've been talking about lately and is a huge trend, I mean, in teaching in general, but has become even more of a focus in the pandemic is like teaching with grace, some of this self-care. So you're the one who wanted to talk about it. So what do you want to talk about? Tell us about it. What are your feelings?
No, I feel like a jerk because before the pandemic, to be honest, I was one of those teachers who were like, "Oh, I'm not accepting any late work. Like you should have done this at home. Now you want to come up here with all these excuses." Like I was not a graceful teacher, to be honest. And this pandemic has just really made me slow down, and the things that I've been dealing with. I've never been through this much like emotional stress, professional stress. So I'm like, wow, I'm late on my lesson plans. Like my admin harasses me all the time.
Wait, tell me about this lesson plan thing. Late on your lesson. What is that?
We in At my school in my county, we have to have a 5-day template of what our bell ringer is going to be, what the objective is, what we're going to do, how we're going to form our summative assessment for that day, our informal assessment, what the students are supposed like learn. It's just a micromanaging nightmare.
And so what happens, like say you fill that out, but then you get to that day and it doesn't go exactly that way.
If they
Can you
come
change
in
it?
and say they're coming in to grade you and observe you, if they look at your lesson plan and it's not aligned, you will get marked down for your TEKS.
Is it like a live Google Doc? You can't just like go in there and tweak things real quick?
You're supposed to have it printed and like by the door. Or this is like, or turn it into a folder. Like,
Okay.
so, but they tell you if you know that you're going to switch it up, you need to cross it off and write it
Hmm.
so that
Okay.
the admin who's coming in knows,
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I've heard of places that do not do lesson plans. And I'm like,
So technically we are definitely supposed to have that lesson plan like in our folder in the door. And like when I was first, I used to try to always have it, but what I always found myself is I would just BS it. Like I would just kind of copy and paste a few things, like make it like close enough so that, it would kind of match what I was doing. But they never even used it like that anyways. So what I started to do was I would just be like, oh, my PowerPoint is my lesson plan, because I would have my objective in there, and I would even put in like extra slides just for myself, because I would always forget like to collect the homework and things like that. So I used to put myself in like cue slides. So I just started using that as my lesson plan, and that's really what I've been doing for the last year and a half. And
that's the easiest way to go. Work smart,
yeah.
but I'm always late on getting it in because it's not that I'm not teaching. It's just that
Yeah.
I'm writing a
Yeah.
thesis or a dissertation on what I'm teaching.
I feel like too, when you're in the beginning of teaching, it's much more important. But okay, so you're saying like you have this, you're like experiencing this pressure, and so you feel like as teachers, admin should give us grace, and then likewise, we should be giving our students grace.
Yeah.
Okay, so my question is like, okay, so what's the limit of that? Right? Because I've been having this conversation with myself too. And I was definitely like me and my co-teacher, like I'm good cop and she's bad cop, believe it or not. Um, I'm always the one. Like my training is in tutoring, and the way that we were trained, like it was drilled into us, you always give a compliment and then you do the but. And a lot of teachers don't necessarily have that. So I'm always like, oh, like we're so glad that you're here. And like my co-teacher's like, where were you? I want the note. Like I'm about to call your mom right now. Like she's on them. And now this year, it's like extra. Like last spring was whatever, but now it's like, okay, so how much grace do we give these kids?
That's a good question. I've been talking to my kids about being proactive, not reactive. So that kind of tells me, that gauges how much grace you deserve. If you were coming 5 days later, do you really care that much? Versus you letting me know 2 days ahead, hey, I'm not going to have this on time because of X, Y, and Z. So it's just about mature conversation, intentions, I always tell my kids, like, don't come to me with the long stop story about why you don't have it. Just bring it to me when you have it and we'll take it from there.
Right. Yeah. That's my thing too, is like, okay, so this is the problem, but what are your actionable steps to fix it?
Yeah.
So I agree 100%.
It's a
And
lot of it's just gauging the vibes too. Like,
mm,
you can tell when it's like a habit. And that's what I was just talking to my kids about the
mm,
other day. I'm not, if you need grace every Friday at like, like I'm not gonna do this with you. You can tell who is the taking advantage and who really needs assistance.
yeah, I'm with you. And now let's turn to teachers though, too, because the another thing I've been seeing online a lot, and I've been getting a little pushback from teachers on this, is just teachers constantly with the I'm tired, I'm overworked, we have to do everything, da 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 da. It's always just like this huge like victim card,
Yeah.
and like to me, I just like even before the pandemic, like this to me was kind of my perception of teachers, and teachers always used to rag on me because, oh, you don't support teachers, this and that, and I'm like, no, that's not what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
So
But you
have
can't have
you
a pity party every day.
mm,
Like, are you gonna be tired for 20 years until you retire? That's a long time to be tired, And that's my biggest thing where I've even told myself, Brittney, stop complaining if you don't have a solution,
ooh,
you know? So I've told myself, say no. Like I've literally gone to have my admin and said, what you guys are asking right now is too much for me. This is my line. This is when you're going to get it because I'm not going to wear myself down.
oh wait, so you do the things that you tell your students to do?
Yeah.
That's the thing that gets me. That's the thing that gets me too. Like we'll say these things to our students, and then we don't even like listen to our own advice. So yeah, that's definitely kind of like what class disruption is about, is like kind of being like, all right, guys, like this is the reality of things. We could keep going on with the shoulda, coulda, woulda, but I never liked that type of dude. So, like let's make things happen. Which kind of like brings us to the next topic that I wanted to talk about, which was curriculum. So I teach global, I don't teach US. But I do know, in college and in grad school, I took a decent amount of US history courses. And I would just be interested to know your take on, because it's the same for global, even though it's not the same content, like how
Yeah.
you feel about, like, especially in Georgia, you guys are like even more strict with your standardized testing and your pacing and all that. So kind of give me a little bit of insight into the way that Georgia does things and your whole take on the US history curriculum in particular.
So the way that we do it, okay, in my county, we do block scheduling. So my AP class is for the whole school year. You know how boys are.
Nice, it's all good. I was like, is that a dramatic look, or is that like
me giving him the warning eyes?
Well, he can make a cameo if he wants.
Say hi. And then please, I've asked you. Busy, man.
Class disruption. What's up? Oh man, you look just like you.
Get out of here. Thank you. My AP class is all year. So it's the 36 weeks. My US history class that Georgia milestone test is 18 weeks. And then we test at the 14-week mark because they have to do testing before school lets out. So technically I have 14 weeks to teach from Jamestown to Obama.
Oh, no.
And that's like
only a few things happen between there,
Yeah, just real quick, So that's not including Thanksgiving break, fall break, all these days. And then on top of that, they account that score, whatever they get on the EOC, they account as 15% of their final grade for the class.
So I'd just be like, yo, I'm going to get an 85.
It's drill and kill. It makes it to where I have to drill and kill, move on. There's no real opportunity for learning projects because by the time, like I literally teach colonization for 3 days. I'm at like Jamestown to the Revolutionary War in 3 days. It's just unfair to them. I don't think history needs to be, social studies period doesn't need to be something that's standardized. And that I think they need to focus on ELA with that, math, maybe ELA and math, but social studies is supposed to be interactive and social.
Yeah.
That's why it's social studies.
I think it's good to kind of have like a big picture of things, and like you might maybe spend one unit kind of jamming through a big picture of history, but just to give a broad context, I would argue you can study, a few different events in history, and you can hope maybe even base it off what the kids want to study. And it's more about those skills, right? So if you instill those skills in them, now they're going to be able to go, oh, we never learned about this. Like we heard about it, but we didn't learn about it. Let me take those skills that I really developed and I own now, and boom, now I can learn about this on my own.
Exactly.
Exactly. And so
I wish it was more thematic. That's where the real learning comes in.
Yeah.
Just like checkbox. Okay, I taught you this checkbox. And like, I make the most out of my time. We do well, we do rigorous, but like you said, I feel like they should be able to choose what they want to learn.
Yeah.
And it's hard when you have a list of things you have to check. It's just crazy. Like, I got to send you my standards. They're so bland.
Yeah, I mean, New York, we have our standardized tests too, but it's at the end of the year, not this like mid-year kind of thing. And I mean, this year, and I really started doing this last year, but I'm like, I'm not doing everything. I'm not doing it. I'm going to slow down. I'm going to make sure I'm really covering the basic skills, because if my kids can actually read, then they can look at the text on the test that they maybe didn't have that much familiarity with because we didn't go over that event, but they can start to use some of those skills from reading and figure it out contextually, So that's really...
I've seen the Regents, and they are really stimulus based.
Oh yeah, they just changed over. All the multiple choice have a stimulus.
Yeah.
It's not just like isolated questions that you have to remember a fact, but you would have to be able to be like, oh, this document is from this time period, and that means it's like the French Revolution. So you might have to be able to deduce it that way, but you do have some context clues. I mean, I think that there should be like 2 tracks. Like there should be if you want to take the Regents and you're like a 4-year traditional college kid, that's awesome. But we have so many kids that don't need that to be successful for what we're trying to get them to be for, by the time they graduate. And they would just benefit so much more from not having to do the test prep.
What I've found too is that it beats down some of those kids who are just not good test takers, and it makes them disengage in the learning at all.
100%.
Yeah. And it's really sad to see.
Especially kids too. Like I have some kids who they were probably never properly taught to learn, but they actually also have like a pretty severe learning disability, like dyslexia or things like that. So at this point, it's really hard to learn, but they're really smart. So yeah, it's really a shame and a crime that they're not going to learn to read. But there's so much valuable things that we could teach them, right? Like these kids could go and work at a business. A lot of kids like to do haircuts and like the hair, in the Bronx, they have a lot of that. You could be like an independent contractor, have your own seat, and like even work your way up to owning a business, and hopefully along the way, you'll be able to get some more of those skills. But just by being like, well, if you're not academic, oh, well,
your life's going to be horrible.
Yeah.
You don't pass. Yeah.
You don't go to college, right? Everybody's got to go to college. Like I'm totally over that. Especially now they want to cancel everybody's debt, but it's another story.
Well, yeah, I've been talking to my kids like, hey, plumbers make more money.
Yo, elevator repairmen?
Be a welder real quick.
No, elevator repairmen make like $90K.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, I'm going from teaching to that.
Seriously.
So
a welding degree, right? Yeah.
Which is a great segue. I'm just killing it on the segues today. To another thing I want to talk about is like, what is one change over the next 5 to 10 years? I mean, there's so much to change, but like, what is one change? And maybe something that's not going to require like a whole like bunch of funding, a new program, but just working with what we got that you would like to see.
Student choice.
Oh,
in high school, period. I mean, and I've literally been sitting down. I have so much stuff in my notebook because I'm tired of complaining about it. So I'm like, Brittney, what can you do to get the train running? Because someone's got to just stop and speak out. We just need to totally throw the whole thing away at this point. If students had a choice in what they wanted to learn and their track, just like you said, it would be easier. We wouldn't be having the issues that we have. It's just, like you said, not everything is for everybody. if you know that you do not plan on going to college, why do you have the same required courses? And the way that I wish that they would transition secondary school down to like almost the way community colleges are set up.
Oh my God, yo, we need to talk because I literally was just I was doing something with Teacher Fit. You know, Teacher Fit, they do like, they offer like fitness courses for teachers basically, and like schools can get contracts with them and they'll do special courses, but they also just have free stuff for teachers. But I was on his podcast and I was like, I have this idea, you know, I think about like my ideal school, and I have a few different models, but one of the models was that like a teacher comes in like a college professor and they say, this is the course I'm offering, this is the curriculum, this is how I would teach it. And if the kids sign up for the course, great. If the kids like them, great. But if not, you're going to tell that teacher like, yo, you better come up with a better option or we're going to have to find somebody who can.
Better sell yourself.
Exactly.
Get
Like
on out there.
like your teacher, like your classroom could be like your independent business, almost kind of. You run it the way you do, and you work with like an overarching like organizational kind of structure, but like you really have autonomy in your space. So I think that would be dope. So we gotta
revolutionary. No, we do, because it's just even kids who don't come to school because they're working. How can we integrate their work into school? You know, what do we need to do?
Right, like some type of program where they can get credit for that. Okay, you're working these hours, you study these hours. So we gotta, definitely
they have those in a lot of schools too, but it just needs to be universal. It needs to be common core type, you know?
Right. It needs to be so like, and I mean, this is why I'm also a fan of school choice. I know that's a pretty controversial topic and everybody talks about, oh, you're making a business out of it, but I'm like, first of all, if you don't think it's a business right now, you're bugging. And
testing period.
Yeah. Like these educrats and like the contracts, the fat contracts they get, like, why do you think that we use some of the tools that we use? It's not because it's the best tool. It's because our buddy, the chancellor, happens to know this guy or used to invest in this company. That's actually true in New York City. One of the tools that we use, there was a big scandal. So that I just think that people should have the choice, like, okay, what's best for my situation? And I think we're going to see a lot more innovative things. I was just telling you in the DMs, I was like, I love federalism, right?
Yeah.
And that's a very federalist model, right? You have all these different things, different people try different things, some don't work, they fail or they stop doing it, other things do, and then they're like, oh, we're going to do that too. You know, like we were talking specifically about marijuana policy, how the different states, state by state, is getting legalized. So then that is a cue to the national government to be like, okay, now we can make it federal policy.
Yeah, and sometimes you just need to. You got to make people hop on the bandwagon.
Yeah, well, that's why I like the states' rights things, though. It's not being forced down top down until like, okay, a majority of the states are on board with it. Now we can. It could be like the same thing. If you have a bunch of different schools doing it, and then it's like, okay, these are working. So like, let's democratize this practice, make it a best practice. More people will make it standard, but like not a top down way. So
I'm always be there.
Hey, listen, I'm telling you, I really, really would love to make some moves like on one of these schools. Like that is I mean, I'm not trying to be like super specific with my goal, but I also like feel like you're supposed to be, right? You're supposed to like, I would love to like open up a school. Like that would be my ultimate dream job. Like open up my own school, do things my way. Like
it starts with you. It just starts with a plan. We can definitely talk about that. I know winter break, that's when I was going to kind of give myself.
Okay.
So let's chat.
All right, for sure. Okay, so then I want to know, what do you want to leave the people with? Do you have a word of advice, inspiration, or motivation?
Teachers out there, listen to me. Keep going. Wake up every day. Create what you want. Be confident in yourself. Smile, even if you feel like frowning. Fake it till you make it, until you feel it. And just keep going, because your kids are watching you and depending on you. Other teachers, just keep the positivity even when you're feeling negative. Follow me at Caldwell's Classroom if you need some inspiration.
Yes, definitely.
Just keep teaching on. And I feel like from all of this, something is good is going to come from all these changes. You know, I really do feel like this is good right now.
I feel the teacher power coming through for real.
Yeah, no, for real. And this is the time for us to start making demands, standing up for ourselves, you know, creating routines that we can take back into the building.
Right. That's what I really think it's about. It's about rendering what they do irrelevant and people being like, we're going to go with this, you know?
Yeah.
So that's out here creating. I'm totally with you. We got to check in sometime soon. We're going to do our planning and we're going to come back, tell the people about it, do something like that.
People updated. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, man.
Thank you for being disruptive.
Not everybody always likes it. I gotta show you. I got canceled like crazy on Twitter. You should have seen it.
Oh well.
I know. I was like, listen, it's a good thing that I don't care.
Yeah, seriously. Regardless. So.
All right, lady, we're gonna check in soon, and thank you so much.
See, that teacher joy, that teacher passion, I know that's what we could all use a little bit more of this weekend as we're pushing through, we're grinding it out till we hit that winter break. And we got to lean on each other to keep going. So I appreciate you so much, Brittney. And like I said, you got to come in here right away. I want to know all about Ghana. I want to know all about the work you're doing there. I want that perspective. I feel like a lot of times what we're missing here is just that perspective of how good we do have it. I know we have tons to complain about. Trust me, all day I'm on here beating that horn about breaking the status quo, but that perspective is so important. So like I said, Brittney's putting out all this amazing content over there on Instagram where we initially connected. So go check her out, show her the most love, and look out for our next conversation coming up so soon. So for Brittney and this awesome conversation, make sure you smash that like button. And like I said, we got more great content coming out soon. So hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Remember how much I love that beautiful face. And I know it's getting hard out there. The days are getting short and cold, especially if you out here in the Northeast like me. So stay foolish, y'all.